Hello, welcome back. Now we're doing Chiron in Cancer. I'm reading from Barbara Clow's Chiron book that she wrote um, almost 50 years ago. And yeah, we're going to be starting with Chiron in Cancer. This is a fun one, nice and long. We got 2 pages to read through, so it's going to be good. This will be a nice vibe. We're listening to, we're not listening to anything, but gosh, when are we going to get Chiron in Cancer? I think it's going to be another about 20 years until we get Chiron in Cancer, um, give or take a few years. But yeah, that'll be fun. I like Cancer energy for the most part. No, I'm kidding. um, yeah, so let's get right into it. Yeah, Chiron in Cancer. When Chiron is in, oh, wait a minute, let's go back because it says right here when we're going to get Chiron in Cancer. I was not even joking. I was not far off. I was not far off. So 7/22/2038 to January 8th, 2039 is when we're going to get Chiron in Cancer. I'm pretty good at this. I'm not that far off. That was pretty good. So in 22 years, we'll be getting Chiron in Cancer. So that's not bad. That's not too bad. Um, yeah, when Chiron is in Cancer, the native has a crisis over cultural roots and or a crisis of personal protection. This native sees his or her ability to feel safe and secure on the planet as a personal and cultural dynamic, and the ecological power of Chiron usually predominates over the personal crisis. No one has mentioned it so far, but Chiron in Cancer is a very difficult position because the native is tied to the past and very threatened by the present Earth crisis. These individuals were born in the depths of World War II to parents who feared for their own survival, and this has created a profound dilemma for the secure seeking Cancer type. Most of these natives also have Uranus in Taurus, and some have Saturn in Taurus. They have been deeply shaken, and out of the power of Cancer will come a healing of the earth when these natives experience their Chiron return in 1988 to 91. After the Chiron and Gemini group have identified the crises in 1983 to 1988, in the meantime, these natives have an intense insecurity dynamic operating, which astrologers can attempt to heal. Also, this critical Earth healing cycle is exaggerated only during the Virgin cycle of Chiron from 1977 to 2028, just as the Virgin cycle of Pluto, approximately 1930 to 2170, is very intense. As we are all aware, these are apocalyptic times. The apocalypse is now as we experience the rebirth of powerful solar system dynamics evident since the sighting of Uranus. The struggle to break Saturn control and let go to Uranus electricity is a very tough battle for those with Chiron in Cancer. They need help to see that influences occurring from Saturn on this planet are also forming because of the Uranian dynamic. That what we think about creates our reality. We are actually much more free to act than most individuals with Chiron and Cancer comprehend, and if they can recognize their own power as manifestors, they will be at the forefront of manifesting true security for Earth. Natives with Chiron and Cancer will either be desperately seeking a means for real security, or they will have the crab shell around themselves and be hiding. A few exceptional clients will be at the very forefront of the Earth crisis. One of the clients, the futurist writer ecologist, has an awareness of the aliveness of the Earth and its relationship to the galactic cycle that is mind boggling. But he also became an alcoholic during his struggle to break through to his free will, Uranus. He also has Moon Jupiter in Pisces. I've observed from clients that natives with Chiron and Cancer often have a great struggle with alcohol because alcohol inhibits Saturn control in the short run. At all costs, these natives need to resonate with the power of their own willpower. They will need help manifesting their fifth house, for the only real power is the power of creativity. Newer forms of astrological counseling will teach the natal chart as a dynamic for increasing free will help tremendously. These natives are meant to be leaders in the battle to alchemize the earth. They will break the hold of the conservative Pluto and Cancer generation, those born from 1913 to 1939. The house position of Chiron will reveal the way in which these natives feel the security crisis. The house position reveals the chirotic dynamic. First of all, the house shows where the native is seeking release from Saturn control. It shows where the experimentation is occurring. Those experiences ruled by the house position, which have to do with control and letting go, must be examined. Aspects must be carefully analyzed. The writer ecologist, who also had an alcoholic crisis, has Chiron exactly trine Jupiter in Pisces in the seventh. Work as an ecologist has saved him from the horror of alcoholism. He has chosen life over death, the chirotic crisis. Clients with 12th house Chiron and Cancer have exhibited a life and death struggle with occultism. One has sold his soul to develop star. What? One has sold. I'm sorry, girl. It's been a while since I read this. One has sold his soul to develop the Star Wars system. A chart with Chiron in the 12th house belongs to a healer who is working with addictions and is intensely involved in work with dolphin ecology. Thanatos or Eros, love of death, love of life, is the essence of this position. Understand the house dynamic in relation to the security struggle of Saturn Uranus, and the inner struggle of natives with Chiron and Cancer will be revealed. And notice that the Chiron and Leo group coming next often have Saturn conjunct Uranus natally. Many of them have been at the forefront of developing chirotic healing technologies, and they can offer counseling help to those with Chiron and Cancer. See, that was a lot. So starting from the top about Chiron and Cancer having a crisis over cultural roots, um, sometimes where Chiron is, there's crises, or there's a reckoning, or there's a something that you must face. I have Chiron and Capricorn. What I'm facing, most of my struggles, the hardest stuff that I've seen, and the fact that it's the sister sign to Cancer makes sense as well, seeing that this is the cultural roots. Being uprooted from home, Chiron and Capricorn especially has to deal with foundations and systems. I was uprooted from my birth family at a very young age. I was put in a system that was insecure, and then I was taken from that system that was insecure and put in a new family dynamic and system that I've been in for the last 20 years that has offered me tremendous security. And then on top of that, Chiron, and a lot of time people think of, earth signs, they think of money, but especially Capricorn, they're very much about their business and stuff. That's been my reckoning. I have not always been about my business. I have not always been about my security and what systems I'm creating for my future life. Now I am. But before I was like, what the hell is this? And it all makes sense knowing what. I don't have to get into all of it. But with Chiron and Cancer, the cultural roots, when I think of Cancer, I think of the mother. I think of mitochondrial DNA. I think of um, the matriarch. I think about things that have been passed down through the womb. This is scientifically proven as well that trauma going back many, many, many generations can stay within a person's biology for generations prior. So the what happened in my matriarchal lineage via the mitochondrial that has been passed down through mitochondrial DNA from hundreds of years is still within me today. So that's where a lot of the crises over cultural roots and crises of personal protection come from. Sometimes it's not even the things that you yourself have went through. Sometimes it's things that your mother has went through, your grandmother, your great grandmother, and so on and so forth. And even on your father's side as well, because you have that merging of the DNA as well. So there's, on both sides, you're dealing with um, potential crises that you have just inherited that are, as Chiron and Cancer is saying, your opportunity for you to create healing technologies for other people to, alchemize their own crises through. Um, I think, I'm trying to think of what else. Um, I think where there's a lot of this energy of kind of inability or skepticism, I want to say, I think is the word that's coming to mind, comes from, maybe the hard outer shell of the crab and stuff before you get into the soft insides. And that's like the structure. The structure isn't the bones, the structure is the exoskeleton. That's the skepticism. It's protecting you in oopsie, it's protecting you in very well from the world. um, and it should continue to do so, because why not? You have it, you're able, it's your shield. um, but sometimes it's also stopping you from getting uh, um, deep to the inner work and having that, um, yeah, that understanding. There's also a sense of, I don't want this to sound rude, but shallow energy with Cancer. I know there are crabs that live on like the deep, 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 deep parts of the ocean, and crustaceans that live in the deep, deep, deep part of the ocean. But there are also crabs that live um, in the shallow waters and in the tide pools and things like that. So there's that skepticism to maybe go deep because it's the unknown and it's a little bit darker there. And sometimes you have to go more based off of intuition because you can't see things, and maybe you're not like well equipped. I'm sure the crabs that live deeper in the ocean have different uh, molecular setups than the ones that are shallow and are in the tide pools. Um, I don't have much else to say, but I hope that makes some sense. Do tune into my water elemental video to get a little bit more energy of how Cancer might be showing up. And I also have a few Cancer significations in a Cancer video that I did. I was talking about Jupiter and Cancer, but I did talk a lot about Cancer archetypes that might be fun to listen to and give you extra context on how Cancer might be showing up and interacting with Chirotic energy. So, yeah, I hope that was helpful. We'll be covering Chiron and Leo next. Very fun, fiery sign. First fire sign after Aries, and fixed as well. Ooh, it's going to be a good one. So, yeah, stay tuned. My cat is catching lizards again. Ooh. Oh, another thing I look forward to cleaning up. Okay, bye, y'all. See you in the next one.